very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News coming to you from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Tiran Ullis gets death threats again.
දුරකථන ඇමතුම්මාව මරනවා කියලා දැන් ඊයේ දුකෝද ලියුමක් කෙවලා තිබුණා මැරෙන්න ලෑස්ති වෙන්න කියලා.
Acting IGP speaks on the date that Operation Yuktiya will end.
මේ රටේ දරුවන්ට දෙමාපියන්ට බය නැතුව ඉස්කෝලේ ගිහිල්ලා කුඩු ගහයි කියලා ආපහු එනකම් බයෙන් ඉන්න නැති වෙන දවස තමයි යුක්තිය මෙහෙම නවත්තන්න.
The general public has a right to justice. A statement from the Archbishop. Revelations that the CEB's expected profit for this year has been concealed.
And now the stories in detail. Minister of Public Security Tiran Ullis says that he has received death threats again. He made this statement while addressing the Avisawala Community Police regarding Operation Yuktiya.
This event was attended by the Minister of Public Security Tiran Ullis and Acting Inspector General Police Deshabandu Tennako.
ලංකාවේ ඉන්නවා එක කල්ලියක් මේ රටට විරුද්ධව වැඩ කරන කල්ලිය.
There is a group in Sri Lanka that is working against the country. There is a group of lawyers. This group does all of these things for money. They are getting money from NGOs. When they get money, they put out statements. During the last 4 weeks, 4 cases have been filed against the Acting Inspector General of Police, stating that he should not be appointed as the Inspector General of Police. Why are they doing that? They are doing this because they want to stop our programs. Who wants these programs to stop? Drug peddlers. This group of lawyers are those who are appearing for drug-related cases and earn millions by appearing for these drug cases. This group accepts money from drug peddlers and want to stop our program. If these attempts do not stop in the next few days, I will reveal the names of these people. We are conducting these programs in the face of many threats. I got calls where I got death threats. Yesterday I got a letter asking me to prepare to die. I know that we have these threats, but when we are conducting these programs for you and for your children, disregarding our own safety, we want the support of every one of you to ensure that this program is successful.
අපිට ඕනේ ඔබ සියලු දෙනාගේම සහයෝගය මේක සාර්ථක කරගන්න.
යුක්තිය කියලා කියන්නේ අලුත් ක්‍රමවේදයක් ඔස්සේ
Yuktiya is an attempt to control the drug menace under a new system. What is this new system? The intelligence units and the Narcotics Bureau has identified the names of those who sell and distribute drugs. There is a group of people who bring these drugs from the sea and distribute them to all 14,022 Gramanilladari divisions of the country. Who brings drugs to the Sitavaka Police Division? Who brings drugs to Avisawala and Kosgama? We have given the list of names to the officer in charge of the Sitavaka Division. Even after you have nabbed 100% of the suspects on this list, don't stop there. Go and nab each and every suspect who is connected to drugs. This operation will continue until the drug menace is completely eradicated. This time we will not just arrest these suspects and produce them in court. We will file action against the property of these suspects under the Anti-Money Laundering Act and confiscate them. Many people ask as to when this Operation Yuktiya will end. There is a day on which this operation will come to an end. That is the day on when the parents of children in this country will not be afraid of their children getting addicted to drugs. On that day, we will stop the Yuktiya operation. Therefore, if you who have joined the community police committees are standing with the police and are with the police, within 3 months, we could easily create a safe country for everyone.
The Minister of Public Security also said that a hotline 109 has been introduced for complaints to be lodged regarding abuse of women and children on social media and on the roads.
Parliamentarian Dr. Harshita Silva says that the government is presenting the online safety bill to control Facebook and other social media during the run-up to the upcoming elections.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ නිවේදනයක් නිකුත් කරලා තියෙනවා 23 වෙනිදායි 24 වෙනිදායි මේ මාර්ගස්ථ
Notice
සුරක්ෂා
has been issued in
පනත
Parliament that the online safety bill will be taken up for debate on the 23rd and 24th. Today it was reported in the newspapers that Parliament will be prorogued on the 26th and that Parliament will reconvene on the 7th of February. If by chance they pass this online safety bill by getting 113 votes in favour, we will change this law in the first week after coming into power. It is hard to imagine how a group would pass such a bill simply for short-term gains in winning the election by limiting the use of social media platforms. Are they planning on fighting with Facebook? Are they trying to stop Google and YouTube just to get some short-term political mileage? These are some of the platforms that we are planning on using to make the next great leap in Sri Lanka's economy. Since all of these doors are going to be closed down by this bill, we are against this bill. We would like to inform the government not to present this bill to Parliament on the 23rd. Send this back to the legal draftsman. I don't know when the President is returning from overseas. At least call them over the phone and change this.
ගිහිල්ලා මන්ද කවද්ද එන්නේ කියලා ටෙලිෆෝන් එකෙන් හරි මේක කතා කරලා මේක පෝස්ට්පෝන් කරන්න.
It has been almost 2 years since a hand grenade was found at the All Saints Church in Borella on January 11, 2022. A protest demanding the arrest of those involved in the incident was held opposite the All Saints Church today. Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, also participated in the protest.
Before the peaceful protest unfolded opposite the All Saints Church in Borella this morning, a special mass was held within the church.
දේවස්ථානයේ ආරක්ෂා වුණා එදා. මිනිසුන්ගේ බඩගින්න ගැන පොඩ්ඩක්වත් තැකීමක් නැති නායකයෝ ටිකක් තමයි ඉන්නේ.
The leader of this country seems oblivious to the people's struggles. Their apathy towards daily hardship is deafening. While warships are readily dispatched to foreign conflicts, is this truly our nation's most pressing concern? We are not trying to destabilize Sri Lanka, but we have a right to justice as citizens of Sri Lanka. Where is the accountability for Prageet Eknaligoda's disappearance? The authorities were not bothered to bring those responsible for that crime to justice. Where is the truth behind Lasantha Vikramatunga's death? In the face of such injustices, we must stand with the people.
මේ වගේ දේවල් වලදී ඒ දුක් විඳින ජනතාව සමග අපි ඉන්නට ඕනේ. අපි ආඥා කරමු මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාව මේ දූෂිත ක්‍රමවේදයෙන් මුදවා ගන්නට කටයුතු කරන්න කියලා.
Following the mass, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, along with many who had attended, joined a peaceful demonstration outside the church.
There is no doubt that the general public in Sri Lanka is suffering. A proposal to reduce electricity tariffs has been submitted by the Ceylon Electricity Board to the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka. Now, what is really happening here? It has been revealed that the expected profit of the CEB for this year has been concealed from the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka. Action TV delves deep into this today.
While the profits of over 600 million rupees earned by the CEB by illegally increasing electricity tariffs on 2 occasions last year by 66% and 18% in contravention of the Electricity Act should be distributed among the general public, the CEB is planning on taking another route. Instead of distributing this illegal profit among electricity users, the CEB has sent a proposal to the PUCSL yesterday, proposing a reduction in the electricity tariff by 3.34% from February, using the expected profits of the CEB for this year. This proposal was dated 12th of January 2024. 2 days before that, on the 10th of January, several stakeholders who have been handpicked by the CEB were summoned to the head office of the CEB to inquire into the views of these supposed stakeholders prior to the proposal for the reduction in the electricity tariff was sent to the PUCSL. The fact that the Executive Secretary and CEO of the Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka is the first such hand-picked stakeholder could be a result of the CEB's misguided notion that engineers should be in the forefront in deciding on the price of electricity. A paid consultant and creditor of the CEB, who is also a paid consultant to the Asian Development Bank, had also been handpicked by the CEB to attend this meeting in a possible blatant display of their scant disregard to the conflict of interest of the said party. A former provincial councillor of the United National Party was also among those handpicked stakeholders that attended the meeting, and this is testament to the preferential treatment accorded to the allies of those in power. However, the general manager who signed the letter convening the meeting of stakeholders himself admitted to the fact that the meeting was held outside of the legal framework. Using the official letterhead of a state-owned enterprise to perform an act that is outside the legal process could be a privilege accorded only to engineers. If this proposal on the reduction in electricity tariff submitted by the CEB was prepared based on the proposals made at this illegal meeting, the content of this letter too is by extension illegal and of no legal effect. However, based on the previous and present conduct of these 4 members of the Commission, they will call for public consultations on the proposal submitted by the CEB. This letter revealed by Action TV yesterday states that the CEB will earn an estimated revenue of about 710 million rupees this year. The estimated cost is approximately 687 million rupees. 2 items included in the cost are the transmission allowance and distribution allowance. Last year, the sum total of these allowances was only 70 million rupees. The CEB through this letter says that this cost has now increased to 145 million rupees this year. The transmission of power will continue to be carried out along the same power lines that were used in power transmission last year. Against such a backdrop, the CEB's claim that the transmission cost has increased by 75 million rupees or doubled compared to last year lacks a logical foundation. The finance cost that has been estimated to be 53 million rupees could also be disregarded due to the fact that the interest rates in the country have now stabilized and are at a lower level. Through this letter, the CEB is attempting to conceal the fact that the CEB earned a profit of 600 million rupees last year and also conceal about 1.8 billion rupees from the 2 billion rupees in profit that the CEB is to earn this year. Therefore, it appears that this letter is more of an attempt to hoodwink the general public and rob them of their money rather than a proposal to reduce electricity tariffs. The general manager of the CEB had highlighted the need for this tariff reduction to be implemented from the 1st of February without leaving room for any public discourse on the matter. This letter that was submitted yesterday will have to be considered by the PUCSL after the end of the Thai Pongal festival, leaving out the Poya Day and the weekends in the coming weeks. It appears that the aim is to hoodwink the people in a matter of 9 days. Can it then be concluded that the role of the regulator has now been reduced to merely being puppets of the puppeteers on a mission to deceive the general public of Sri Lanka?
The United National Party reiterated that the common candidate for the 2024 presidential election is Ranil Wickremesinghe. This was during the United National Hambantota District Conference.
You have a great responsibility. Going from village to village and door to door is crucial to securing your vote in the next general election. While we face the end of the country's challenges, we should give a chance to our visionary leader at the next presidential election. Our visionary leader deserves our trust. His experience and capability makes him uniquely qualified to solve the economic crisis. He can rebuild this country and address your concerns. To secure your children's future and overcome this crisis, choose carefully. Make Ranil Wickremesinghe our leader, giving him the power to guide us forward.
සියලු බලතල එක්ක නායකත්වය ලබා දෙන්න ඕන. ලියලා තියාගන්න මෙදා පාර තමයි ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමය ඇති කරාට පස්සේ.
When taking office this time, President Ranil Wickremesinghe would make history by becoming the first Sri Lankan presidential candidate to receive over 10 million votes. Our visionary leader brings a unique perspective, foreseeing possibilities beyond the horizon.
දේශපාලන දර්ශනයක් අපේ නායකයන්ට පේනවා. දැන් සමහරව අහනවා
Some are questioning our involvement with the Rajapaksas. If not for the Rajapaksas, Ranil Wickremesinghe wouldn't be president. We had only one vote in parliament. I'm confident the SLPP won't nominate a candidate for the upcoming election. Ranil Wickremesinghe will receive their undivided support. Minority parties may also not nominate candidates. I'm confident their support will also be for Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says that the policies of the Samagi Jana Balawege and the United National Party are different.
UNP එක අනුගමනය කරන්නේ ගජමිතුරු ධනවාද. අපි අනුගමනය කරන්නේ මානුෂීය ධනවාද.
The UNP is following a policy of capitalism centered around their ally. We are following a policy of humanitarian capitalism. Humanitarian capitalism means the person who wins comes out on top. The supply and demand is maintained. The capital markets continue to function, but the helpless communities of the society are treated fairly. The general public is given equality in opportunity. We will have to bear the burden of the debt that has led this country to bankruptcy. We will have to make sacrifices, but there is a difference between our policy and in the mechanism where this entire burden is put on the shoulders of the working class and saving the ultra-rich class in the country.
ජනතාවගේ කරපිට දාලා උග්‍ර පෝෂිතුන්ව බේරන ක්‍රමවේදයයි අපේ ක්‍රමවේදයයි වෙනස්.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa expressed these views at the launch of the economic blueprint of the Samagi Jana Balawege in Mathura today. MP SM Chandrasena says that the Podujana Peramana will be a pivotal factor in the appointment of the next president.
No one can win a presidential election, general election, provincial council election or local government election without the Pohottuwa. The Pohottuwa is a pivotal factor in appointing the next president and parliament. Those who are unaware of that are those without any knowledge about politics.
Speaking at a media conference, MP Chandima Veerakodi expressed views on the activities of the UNP.
We who are actively involved know what the results of the elections will be. Therefore, even though various people showcase grand processions and express diverse opinions, the public remains unchanged. Regarding this meeting, here is how invitations were sent. Members of the parliament received the authorized quota of stamps, but the UNP MPs didn't have any allotments. They used unapproved seals for stamps and invitations. They raised the question, is this not fraudulent? The incident exemplifies the nature of this government. The country is currently governed by a political group unelected by citizens, one that lacks understanding of the people's struggles and make their lives unbearable through suppressive measures.
Parliamentarian Partali Champika Ranavika spoke about the decision on the date of the election said to have been taken by the Working Committee of the United National Party.
The Working Committee of the United National Party cannot decide on the date on which the presidential election will be held. That has to be decided as per the constitution of the country. The presidential election must be held before the 17th of October. The duty of holding the election falls on the Election Commission after the month of June. Therefore, no one can simply announce dates like that. After the presidential election, whoever the candidate who wins will dissolve parliament. That is natural.
Andrew Kumar Disanayake, addressing the Hambantota District Women's Conference, shared his ideas on rebuilding the country following a future JJB victory.
ජාතිය පුබුදවන්න ඕන. ජාතිය ඒකමිතියකට එන්න ඕන. එක්ක අරමුණකට කේන්ද්‍ර කරන්න ඕන.
Together, let's revive our country. This means uniting under a shared mission. Everyone, from citizens to leaders, must fulfill their individual duty. We as politicians will lead by example. While presidents enjoy security with police and Tri-Forces protection, rural areas often struggle with barely 10 police officers. We propose a comprehensive security redeployment, a parade at Golface Green, followed by the transfer of additional personnel to rural villages. Our actions will demonstrate responsible leadership, free from misuse of public funds. We encourage the public to follow our example and fulfill their individual obligations.
මේ වැටිලා තියෙන රට හාන්සි පුටුවක වාඩි වෙලා කකුල් දෙක හොල්ල හොල්ල හදන්න පුළුවන් රටක් නෙමෙයි මේ තියෙන්නේ.
UK's Foreign Secretary Lord Cameron said the United Kingdom must show strong leadership as the lights are flashing red on the global dashboard. He said not taking military action against the Houthis would have led to more attacks in the Red Sea.
Red Sea crisis.
What is happening in the Red Sea?
The British military took part in a joint operation in Yemen alongside the US this week in retaliation for the targeting of international trade in the key shipping lane, followed up by a fresh attack by the US on Friday night. President Joe Biden said the United States had sent a private message to Iran about the Houthi attacks. He did not elaborate, telling reporters, quote, "We delivered it privately and we are confident we are well prepared," unquote. The US said its latest strike was a follow-on action targeting radar. Speaking to Sky News, UK's Foreign Secretary Lord Cameron said, "If you don't act against the Houthis in the Red Sea, you are going to see more attacks."
Foreign Secretary, we understand the Americans have sent a private message to the Iranians. Were you aware of that, and do you know what it says?
Well, we sent a private message, in fact, a slightly more public message last week when I spoke to the Iranian foreign minister, and we're completely aligned with the Americans about what we say to the Iranians, and it is basically that they are supporting these proxies in the region, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas or the Houthis, and they have got to be absolutely clear with them that what is happening in the Red Sea is unacceptable, and we've demonstrated very clearly that we back our words, our warnings with action when it is necessary. What was happening was unacceptable. That military action should always be the last resort. But since the 19th of November, we have had 26 attacks on ships. Freedom of navigation really matters. It's not just the goods that are coming to this country, the dangers of our economy being dislocated. It's also, grain ships on their way to Ethiopia and Sudan to feed some of the poorest and hungriest people in the world. This really matters. Yes. And what was happening was unacceptable. And we gave warning after warning. And frankly, ultimately that wasn't working. The number of attacks was going up. The severity of those attacks was going up. So, not acting is also a policy. And it was a policy that wasn't working. And that's why it's necessary to act. If you don't act against the Houthis in the Red Sea, you're going to see more attacks.
The Foreign Secretary also spoke about the UK's analysis prior to making the decision to join the US in military strikes in response to Houthi rebel attacks on shipping in the Red Sea.
You are raising the risk or the danger to people in this country. Was that part of your consideration in making this decision?
We consider all of those things. I mean, obviously, it's interesting coming back as a former Prime Minister and sitting in those Cobra meetings and cabinet meetings and watching the Prime Minister. He is absolutely meticulous and careful at considering every question. Is there an alternative? Have we exhausted all the other possibilities? Is this the right action to take with our allies? What will be the reaction in the region? What are the effects back at home? Of course, you can always say the Americans can do this on their own, but frankly, if you have the capability to help, and if you share with them the analysis that this needs to stop, it's right to step forward and act.
Who are Yemen Houthis?
In 1990, the Houthi rebels representing Yemeni Zaid Shias emerged as a response to perceived political and social marginalization under then-President Ali Abdullah Saleh. The Houthis have recently engaged in attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea, raising concerns about regional security. While the Houthis have criticized Israeli actions in Palestine, they have launched a series of attacks on vessels in the Red Sea, as well as launching drones and missiles targeting Israel.
How have the Houthis reacted to the attacks?
The Houthi militia has threatened a strong and effective response after the strikes in Yemen. According to foreign media, a Houthi spokesperson said the strikes, including the one overnight that hit a military base in Sana'a, had no significant impact on the group's ability to prevent Israel-affiliated vessels from passing through the Red Sea and Arabian Sea.
News First with the people.
The Milk Powder Importers Association said that the price of a 400-gram packet of milk powder will be increased by 30 rupees. Spokesperson Ashoka Bandara said that this price increase will be implemented from next week. He cited the VAT hike as the main cause for this decision. A protest against the increasing tax burden on the general public was held in the Kantale town today.
These protests were staged against the ever-growing tax burdens on the general public and the recent VAT hike. The protest was organized by the National People's Power.
The courts gave a judgment that the country was brought down due to corrupt politics. But what is happening today? Mahinda Rajapaksa and his band of thieves are partying out in the sea in the guise of taking a tour of the port. Whose money are they using? This is the money of the general public. 200 million rupees has been allocated for overseas travel expenses and personal expenses of Ranil Wickremesinghe, who asked the general public to tighten their belts. They are telling us, the general public, to pay taxes, and that it is only if we pay taxes that the country can be saved.
Reports have come in from the Norelia Economic Centre that for the first time ever, the wholesale price of a kilogram of carrot has increased to 1,300 rupees.
The price of a kilogram of carrot was between 1,000 and 1,100 rupees at the Norelia Economic Centre last night. The wholesale traders at the Norelia Economic Centre said they had purchased a kilogram of carrot from farmers at a rate of 900 rupees per kilogram. The traders point out that this situation arose as the harvest of the farmers was severely damaged due to the heavy showers that battered Norelia during the past few months. These were the prices of vegetables at the Norelia Economic Centre 2 weeks ago. Prices of vegetables at the Norelia Economic Centre on the 1st of January 2024. Cabbage 490 rupees. Carrot 660 rupees. Leeks 280 rupees. Radish 160 rupees. Beetroot 370 rupees. Potato 340 rupees. And these were the prices of vegetables at the Norelia Economic Centre today. Cabbage 520 rupees, carrot 1,150 rupees, leeks 370 rupees, radish 160 rupees, beetroot 370 rupees, potato 320 rupees. In line with the increase in the wholesale price of vegetables, the retail price of vegetables had also increased by 100%. This has resulted in a drop in the purchase of vegetables by consumers.
පොඩි ළමයින්ට කැරට් වල දෙකක්වත් සුප් එකකටවත් දාලා දෙන්න විදියක් නැහැ. පොඩි කැරට් වල දෙකක් ගත්තොත් රුපියල් 300ක් 400ක් වෙනවා. කැරට් කිලෝ එකක් ගන්න බෑ. රුපියල් 1500කින් 2000කින් මෙහා ගන්නම බෑ.
විශාල වශයෙන් මිල වැඩි වීමක් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ හින්දා පාරිභෝගිකයා ගොඩක් වෙලාට අඩු වීමක් දකිනවා එළවලු මිලදී ගන්න එකේ. මොන එළවලු රස්තා අතරලා මස් කඩේ නැත්නම් මාළු කොටයක් දාන්න ඉතාලගෙන ඉන්නේ. ඒ කැරට් කිලෝ 1300ක් කියනවා, ලීස් කිලෝ 600ක් කියනවා. අද උදේ රුපියල් 30ක් ගාගෙන මේ ගොඩේ ඉඳලා මේ ලොරිය අරගෙන ආවා. එක බඩුවක් පටවලා නැහැ. දැන් පටවන්නෙත් නැහැ කිව්වා. බඩු නැහැ.
The price of vegetables at the Ratmalan Daily Fair had also increased.
අසීමිත විදියට බඩු මිල නැගලා තියෙනවා. අද ওই මිලට මේ මිනිස්සුන්ට කන්න බෑ. රුපියල් 1000ක් ගත්තොත් ෂොපින් එකකවත් ගෙනියන්න බෑ.
පොළට ආවට පස්සේ හිතෙනවා මේ මොනවද ගන්නෙ කියලා. මොකද අසාමාන්‍ය විදියට එළවලු මිල ඉහළ ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
එළවලු ගන්න තමයි ආවේ. එළවලු ඉතින් ගන්නෙ කොහොමද කියලා හිතේ ඉන්නවා. මේ තියෙන්නේ 8 දේවනයි මේ බෑග් එක.
සහනයක් දේව ජනතාවට ඇත්තෙම නෑ ඇති.
This was the situation at the Nugegoda Fair.
එළවලු එනවා අඩු. ඒතකොට තමයි ගණන් වැඩි වෙන්නේ. ඔය එළවලු එන්නේ නැති වුණා තව වැඩි වෙයි.
පේනවනේ බිස්නස් අඩුයි. කිලෝ එක ගත්ත පස්සේ 500 ගන්න එක. ගන්නත් තමයි අපිට විකුණන්නත් තමයි.
මානමිත් 10යි. බඩ බඩ අධික වෙලා මිනිස්සුන්ට කන්න සල්ලි නැහැ.
ඒ දැන් අවුරුදු 75ක් යන මේ විදිහට එළවලු ජීවිතේටවත් ගණන් ගියේ නැහැ.
එළවලු ගන්න බෑ. ඉනලාවද ගණන් ගිල්ලන්නේ. එළවලු 1000 ගණන්. කොහොමද ගන්නේ අපි?
Chanting slogans and waving placards, the people once again took to the streets of Timrigasaya today, demanding sweeping political reforms and an end to the corruption plaguing the country.
These people in Colombo have been coming to the streets of Timrigasaya every Sunday, demanding for a good governance, a system change, for proper law and order, justice, accountability, and for a country free of corruption. As you can see, they are standing here, protesting silently, yet conveying strong messages through these placards that they are holding, demanding for their fundamental rights.
Not only today, every Sunday we are standing here to show that we are against corruption. But I know that they are not taking any notice of it. But we are doing our duty by our country.
It's ridiculous how much is wasted in corruption. There's a ship that's been sent to the Red Sea for 250 million. There was a cruise with MPs, or 50 MPs that was paid for by taxpayers' money. So if they can spend on unnecessary things like that, why are they taxing these poor people with indirect tax? It's the worst form of tax.
There's an operation called Yuktiya going on about catching those involved with the drug mafia. All the small people, the people who are responsible for small amounts of drugs are all being caught. But the big people, the big fish, are being protected.
We have the health scandal at the moment, and we have 7 people under arrest and in remand, apart from other things, over this immunoglobulin scandal, which probably will cause the deaths of many cancer patients and other people. They have all pointed the finger at the former health minister. But what has happened? Nothing. There's been a cursory interview at his own home and nothing after that. So we want justice.
Tomorrow marks the beginning of Thai Pongal, a multi-day Hindu festival celebrating the harvest season. In the midst of various challenges, people in many parts of the country have been seen gearing up for the Thai Pongal celebration since this morning.
In the midst of various challenges, people in many parts of Sri Lanka were engaging in preparations for the joyous Thai Pongal festival starting this morning. Today, we visited the Tamil neighborhoods in Colombo. This is what the people had to say.
To be honest to you, I am here today after 2 decades for celebrating the Pongal. I'm living in the UK, so just I visited. So meanwhile, I'm going to celebrate the Pongal. This is like after 2 decades means it's going to be big celebration. So prices to compare with the last year, I think it's more expensive than last year. Everybody's telling that because it's worldwide the economy has gone up. So the price wise is expensive, I think. So even though people are just wanted to celebrate this Thai Pongal because this is a Tamil's very festival. So yeah, I think everybody is happy to celebrate this Thai Pongal.
Thai Pongal is one of the celebrations where we all Hindus celebrate, and this year we're looking forward to a very positive note. And so of course I'm here to buy some flowers for celebrate our Thai Pongal. And year to year comes, we always look forward to a positive ways in our life, and I think this Thai Pongal is one of the best ways we can start this new year and celebrate. And I hope all of you all have a happy Thai Pongal.
The International Monetary Fund representatives currently visiting Sri Lanka travel to Jaffna today.
Senior Mission Chief for Sri Lanka of the IMF, Peter Brewer, met with Governor of the Northern Province, PSM Charles, at the Governor's office today. A team from the Jaffna University, along with business representatives, small business entrepreneurs and others also joined the discussion.
third quarter of 2023, there was a little bit of positive economic growth. It's still a long way from, the deep-rooted growth that everybody can benefit from. That isn't quite here yet. The country has experienced inflation was 70% here last year. One of the biggest impacts for people, particularly people who don't have any savings, who don't have any buffers, when they face 70% higher prices, it's very, very hard to survive. The government, the central bank, had put in place a monetary policy that brought that inflation way down very quickly.
They expressed concern about the challenges posed by the current tax regime. The IMF team emphasized the unavoidable nature of this action given the country's significant economic problems. Students of the University of California held a protest opposing the visit of businessman Dudley Sirasa earlier today to conduct a lecture at the university premises.
Dudley Sirasa campus යකෝ ළමයි මරලා තොපේ ආණ්ඩුව වලින් ඇවිල්ලා දැන් එනවා ලැජ්ජාද කැම්පස් වලට අරගෙන ඵලයන් ආව මේක ඩග්ලියට එන්නත් බෑ තනියට එන්නත් බෑ ඔය ලෙක්චර් ලැබෙන්නේ නැහනේ ලෙක්චර් එකයි පඩි ගෙවන්නේ ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකේ ඔක්කොට එන්න කියලා මුන් ගෙන්නපු බෝ හරට්ට මාස්කෝම් එකේ අයි මේගොල්ලෝ ගෙනල්ලා පශ්චාත්තකට දේශනුනේ මොකටද රටේ මිනිස්සු පඩි ගන්න මොකටද එහෙම මොකක්ද නෞකලා මොකටද ඈ පාල්ලෝරු කැම්පස් වලට ගේන්න ඒ කැලණි ඈ වෙන කොහෙවත් නෙමෙයි අපි හාල් අච්චර මිනිහට කන්නේ මුන් හංගනේ ඉන්නනේ ඈ උන් කෙනාලා පදිනවන්නේ හාල් හංගනේට තමයි ඩුකන් ගන්නද යන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ මේක පුළුවන් නෑ යවන්න වෙන වැඩි කරලා මිනිස්සුන්ට තව කෙලවන්න කියන්නේ දැන් 26 කැම්පස් වල රනින් වෙනවා කියනවා අද මූ ඇවිල්ලා ඩඩ්ලි සිරිසේන ඔයාලට ලොකු ඇති අපිට ලොකු නෑ යන්න ඒකනේ සර්ට රනිල් විතර රනිල් සර්ට රනිල් වෙනයි නම් මෙයා වෙනයි නම් කොහොමද ඒක මම මනක මාපටේ කියන්නකො ආමික දාලා මිනිහගේ හාල් ටික ගන්න කරුණා මිනිස්සුන්ට දෙන්න අන්න ඒ වගේ මොකද මේ මොකද කරන්නේ කියලා ළමයි මොකද ඒක රටේ නීතිය ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා පුතා ඒක පිළිගන්නකො.
When we inquired about this incident from Dudley Sirisa's faction, they said that the incident did not disrupt the guest lecture delivered by Dudley Sirasa. They added that after clarifying matters with the protesting students, their misconceptions were put to rest. Moving on to news overseas, returning from a strategic state visit to China, Maldivian President Mohamed Muzi struck a defiant quote asserting his island nation's sovereignty with a pointed message, quote unquote, "We may be small, but this does not give them the license to bully us."
Returning home after a 5-day high-profile state visit to China, Maldives President Mohamed Muizu made a statement emphasizing Maldives' national sovereignty. Muizu, who is regarded as a pro-China leader, said, quote, "We may be small, but this doesn't give them the license to bully us," unquote. He said, though we have small islands in this ocean, we have a vast exclusive economic zone of 900,000 square kilometers. Maldives is one of the countries with the biggest share of this ocean. His comments came amid a diplomatic row with India over derogatory social media posts by 3 of his ministers against Prime Minister Narendra Modi. 3 ministers, Malsha Sharif, Mariam Shoana and Abdullah Mahzoum Majid, have since been suspended. Facing a tourism boycott in India, Maldives President Mohamed Muizu also appealed to China during a state visit to boost tourist arrivals from the neighboring country.
Voters in Taiwan have elected William Lai as their new president in a historic election, marking a clear signal of their desire for self-governance and a path increasingly independent from China.
Taiwanese voters have chosen pro-sovereignty candidate William Lai as their president in a historic election, cementing a path that is increasingly divergent from China. The move angered Beijing, which issued a statement after results, insisting that Taiwan is part of China. While Beijing has called for peaceful reunification, it has also not ruled out the use of force. It had cast the Taiwan election as a choice between war and peace. China has ramped up its military presence around the island in recent months, heightening fears of a possible conflict. Beijing's communist government reviles Lai's pro-sovereignty Democratic Progressive Party, or the DPP, which has governed Taiwan for 8 years. By winning an unprecedented third consecutive presidential term for his party, Lai has broken new ground. In his first remarks after his opponents conceded, he signaled that this was an irreversible trajectory. Spokesperson for the State Council Taiwan Affairs Office said the results reveal that DPP cannot represent the mainstream public opinion on the island. He said, quote, "Taiwan is China's Taiwan," unquote. He added that the vote will not impede the inevitable trend of China's reunification. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden said the United States does not support the independence of Taiwan. When asked for a reaction to the elections, Biden said, "We do not support independence."
Israel kept up bombardments in the Gaza Strip, vowing to press ahead with its offensive to destroy Hamas as the war approaches the 100-day mark.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel will not consider the war against Hamas finished until the border between Egypt and Gaza is closed. But Egypt's Foreign Ministry spokesperson said Egypt remains in full control of its borders, following Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's call for the closure of the border. The head of the main United Nations agency working in Gaza said commercial goods are desperately needed in Gaza to prevent an incoming famine. He urged leaders to heed the calls for a humanitarian ceasefire and enable the delivery of more food, medicine, water and shelter to those affected by the enclave's mass displacement. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also said that Israel would not be deterred by a case before the International Court of Justice in The Hague, where it is fighting accusations that the campaign in Gaza amounts to genocide. Israel has rejected the accusation as a gross distortion, saying its actions in Gaza have been taken in self-defense after Hamas gunmen attacked a string of communities in southern Israel on the 7th of October, killing more than 1,200 Israelis and foreigners and taking some 240 as hostages. More than 20,000 Palestinians have also been killed. Israel said the attack, which Hamas leaders have said they would carry out again, showed its existence as a state was under threat unless the movement is destroyed.
Moving on to news overseas. Sports news. The first match of the Sri Lanka-Zimbabwe 3-match T20 got underway at the R. Premadasa International Stadium in Colombo today. You can watch the action live on TV1. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.